I thought the Switch 2 was going to be really stupid. And when it first came out, I still thought it was stupid. I owned the Switch. I owned the Switch OLED. Uh, I thought it was pretty dumb to kind of downgrade the screen. I'm sure there's a reason. I don't know the reason. I don't care to know the reason. I just want to complain about it. I don't want to know all the facts. I just want to, because I might invalidate my argument, and I don't want that. I don't want to. I don't have. I don't want. I want something to be mad about. So I'm just not gonna look into it. I'm just gonna be mad about the new Switch. That's what I thought. And then the new Mario Kart. That's something that I would play, and I know I would enjoy it, but I can't validate spending that amount of money for a Mario Kart game. I would play it for like 2 weeks and then maybe play it on and off for the next couple weeks and then forget about it. And then 6 months would pass and someone might come over. We might pull it back out, and then that's all it's going to be. I'm not going to be playing it every day. I don't have the time to sit there and play Mario Kart every day. And I just know after I play it for maybe like 12 hours, not like in one go, but 12 hours over the course of, a few weeks, I'd probably get pretty over it. I've never been able to really justify buying games like that for the amount of money they cost. Nintendo doesn't really do a whole lot of deals. Even on like Black Friday, you go and there's not crazy deals on their games when you look. But then you look at other games, or even you go on your PlayStation, you go to the store, they have, like games that are 40 to 75% off all the time, and you can go in there and get a game for like $15 if it was originally 70, and you're like, that's a steal. But they take maybe $5 off of a Nintendo game, and I still can't justify it, especially like if it was Odyssey when that game came out. I just rented it for one night, beat it in one night, but I wouldn't have spent the money. But that is the type of game that I would be more likely to buy right away. When Tears of the Kingdom came out, I pre-ordered that and I got that, but I already knew I was going to enjoy it because I enjoy Breath of the Wild. But I waited 2-3 years to even get Breath of the Wild, and even then, I got it for free from someone else who, had no use for it anymore. And I've always done that with most games. There are a few games where I know I enjoy it, so I will pick it up. I waited a few years to play, the first God of War, not the first God of War, but like the new series God of War. So then when Ragnarok was coming out, which is like the newest one, it came out a few years ago, maybe like 3 years ago now, like around Thanksgiving or something. I pre-ordered that. I picked it up. I was off of work and I played that until I beat it. And I had a turkey in the oven. I was home. Uh, I was playing Ragnarok. I woke up early the next morning, threw a turkey in the oven. And while that turkey was down there, and as I was checking on it in between, I was just playing Ragnarok, and I ended up beating it that night. And I also had a fully cooked Thanksgiving turkey for myself. I didn't eat it all in one go. I'm pretty sure I ended up throwing like maybe like 3 pounds of leftovers, which sounds really bad. I don't do that stuff anymore. If I'm making a turkey, I will eat the entire turkey. But at the time, I ate it for a bit, but I was the only one eating it. And you can only have so much turkey as one person. But yeah, I can't buy the Nintendo Switch. I'm not going to buy the Nintendo Switch, the new one. I don't have any plans, but there's this imaginary world in my head where I own the Nintendo Switch, or someone, some generous person sends me a ton of money to go buy the Nintendo Switch. But even then, if someone sent me a ton of money, I for the Nintendo Switch, I don't know if I would be able to buy a Nintendo Switch. Someone would have to go buy the Nintendo Switch and bring it to me. And even then, it might be hard for me to not resell it, make my money back and pay something off, pay some bills, you know. But you, that's what but I always have this uh, imaginary person in my head. Like it's my own personal Mr. Beast that lives inside of my brain, that whenever something is out of my price range and I know it's not a necessity, like I'm not asking for someone to donate some dinner. I'm very thankful to be able just to, have food. I can go downstairs and eat lunch right now and not have to worry about it. So, but I'm not the type of person to go spend a ton of money on something I know isn't a necessity. I will wait months and months, and then if I do buy something, it'll take me forever. I will justify it, plan on buying it, and then I convince myself it's not worth it. I don't buy it, and then later convince myself I should buy it, and I'll go back and forth, and I'll do that over and over again. And I usually, won't end up buying it for at least, another 6 months. I usually wait pretty long to buy something. I feel like that's the right way to go about it. Because if you go like 8 months and when something comes out, you go, that sounds interesting. I would really like that. It would be nice to have it, but I can't really buy that right now. I can't justify spending that much money on something right now. I have other priorities I need to focus on. But then if you catch yourself thinking about it at least like once a week for 8 months, it's like, all right, well, I think I can go about buying it, and hopefully in that 8 months that you waited, going back and forth with buying it and not buying it, you were able to put a little bit more money aside, so it isn't as big of a hole in your pocket. It's just you're obviously going to be losing money, but maybe in the back of your head when you're going back and forth, you're putting a little money aside for something like that if you're able to do that, obviously. But I'm pretty good with spending money, so I know I will not be getting the Switch 2 anytime soon, or possibly ever. I might just go this whole run without getting a Switch. Maybe I'll wait. We'll see in like the next 10 years or so, see what they come out with, and maybe I'll get that, but it'll probably cost more money because, every single time something new comes out, it costs more money. It's made out of the same stuff, I understand like new technology and it's supposed to be higher quality and stuff like that, but it's ridiculous how much that stuff costs, and it sucks that's not a necessity. Because I would be like, damn, I wish the doctor would just tell me you need a Nintendo Switch 2 or else you're gonna die. And I'd be like, oh, I have to go buy a Nintendo Switch right now or I'm gonna die. I wish someone would they could lie to me. I just want someone to tell me I need it to live so I could justify buying it. But the fact that I know I do not need it to live, there's just no way I'm going to go to the store and buy it or have any plans to buy it. That money's not coming out of my account. I need that money. You get to a certain amount in your bank account. You're like, okay, I can't ever go under this new number that I have in my bank account. And then you're struggling. You have more money, but it's like that money doesn't exist. This new number that I reached might as well be zero. I have $0 in my bank account because I can't possibly have less money than what I just reached. And sounds negative. It sounds bad, but it's actually a good way of saving money and working towards a goal by just setting a new minimum. If you reach, like, when you're climbing a mountain and you get halfway up the mountain, you don't turn around and go, oh, I'm going back down and then I'm going to climb up again. You go, no, this is my new resting spot. You put a campfire down, you pitch a tent, and so if you need to go back down, this is where you're going to go back down. If you start climbing up the mountain and you start getting tired, or you realize there's not going to be anywhere for you to sleep that night, and you might just turn back around and go back to that camping spot. You're not going to go all the way down to the bottom of the mountain. So that's how you got to think about it. You're not going back below this spot. This is it's like a checkpoint. Like in a video game. That's exactly what it's like. You just, all right, well, something bad happens. I at least can go back to this spot and restart and try again. So that's the goal. I'm not saying it's super realistic. I'm not saying I always achieve it, but when I get to a certain point, I like to stay at that point. I feel like that's a pretty good way to go about money. I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm the best person to take financial advice from. Not that this is financial advice. It's just kind of me talking about my way of going about money and not spending money. That's why this camera is so fuzzy. And I have a camera. I just refuse to buy a cord long enough and everything I need to use it right now. So I'm using this camera. And that might hurt your experience. It shouldn't, since I'm not showing you anything. But it's saving me money. And I don't need to spend money to sit in front of a crappy camera and talk. Me sitting in front of a expensive camera isn't going to change anything. And it's not like I don't spend money on nothing for myself. Most of my money goes towards, bills, groceries, gas, my car. But every once in a while, I will might buy one of those cheap games I was talking about, one of the 40 to 75% off PlayStation games, or one of the games off of Steam. Sometimes Steam has good deals. I might buy one of those games. I might enjoy myself. I like entertainment, but I can't spend $500+ for that entertainment, which sucks because I really want the new Donkey Kong game too. And they just released some stuff about the new Donkey Kong game. And I thought it already looked cool, but now it looks even cooler, and I'm even more upset that I won't play it. But am I really upset, or am I upset because I'm talking about it right now? I'm not really upset. I'll probably watch a video or two about the game, and I will feel satisfied with that. That'll have to be enough, and I know that. I'll stick with my books. I spend money on books. I try to buy books used or on sale, and I do go to the library every once in a while, but in 20 years, I want to look at all the books I've read in front of me. I don't want to just open up my phone and have a list of all the books I've read, which I do have, but I have a bookshelf right here, and I want to look and see, oh, I've read that book. I remember the time I read that book. Think about where I was in life when I read that book. I like the physical media is, obviously making a comeback in music. People were really into vinyls for a while. People are into, CDs. People are really into Blu-rays when it comes to movies and shows and stuff like that. My physical media, I like books. I like physical books. I know there's a little bit cheaper ways to access it. You can have your Kindle. There's audio books you can find. You can find like free audio books on YouTube. You can go to the library, and I try to go to the library sometimes because I like to support the library, but I also like to have physical books. And then I also, with the library, I don't like having to count down on how much time I have to read the book. I think it's like 2 weeks or something, but sometimes I want to have a break with the book. I might read half of it and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go like 4 days without touching this book. But if I have to return to the library or just like take it back and renew it or whatever you got, like that is, um, I want, I don't want that. I just want to sit on the book for a little bit. I don't want to feel like I'm being rushed. And I know it's not a real big rush, and you could get the book back. Sometimes if it's like if it's on a waiting list for other people to read in the library, they might have you return it. You might not be able to renew it again. But I don't want any of that. I just want to be able to read my book with my own time. And it's not a real rush, but like when you have to be to work early in the morning and it's already getting late and you feel like pressure to go to bed, so you're struggling to go to bed. That's what it's like when I know a book's going to be due in 14 days. It's like, oh, I got to hurry up and read this book. I only got 14 days. And you know, a bit of a smaller book, you might be able to read in 14 days. You might not enjoy your time with it. In 14 days, I would say I would be able to read a book, obviously, but I might not be able to enjoy it as much because I might push myself to read even more, even when I know I don't have the energy to fully take in what is going on in the book. I still might just push through it because this book's got to be back in now 8 days, and I still have half the book left. I have to finish this book in 8 days, but really I have to finish it in 7 days because I'm returning it as soon as the library opens up. So yeah, I like the library. It's cool. I think it's interesting. It smells really good. There's some old people there. I don't mind them. There's some computers at the library. That's cool that you can like use those or whatever. Sometimes the library's too big and it's a little confusing and I refuse to learn how it works. I'm not going to ask or look into it. I just roam until I maybe find the book I'm looking for. And that's fine with me. But I do like to buy books. There's a website like called Thrift Books. I look there first, and then eBay, I look there. Sometimes online websites like Amazon will have pretty good deals. So you might find a book for like 40% off, and you're like, man, I was actually planning on reading this, maybe not right away. I like to stock up on books. I already got 6 books ready to go after the one I'm reading. But you like to stock up on them and just put them aside. You find them you find a good deal on it. You just pick it up and I'm going to be reading that one day. You have to be quiet in a library. And I've never been told to be quiet in a library. I don't know if it's just media, like movies and shows, that makes me think you have to be quiet in a library, or if I've just always been quiet enough in a library that I've never been told I have to be quiet in a library. I've never seen signage around in a library that's saying, hey, don't talk. Like, don't go in here and start having a conversation. So whenever I go to the library, if I'm with someone, I'll whisper, I'll be quiet. And I respect that unspoken rule. As far as I know, it's unspoken. But I've always behaved well enough that no one has ever had to speak it to me. But they should be telling people to be quiet in bathrooms too. I think there needs to be multiple places where you're supposed to be quiet. The movie theater. When I go to the movies with someone, and especially when I was like a teenager and you go with some other teenage boys and they start talking during the movie and they're not whispering, I feel that. I feel like everyone's staring at me. It's like, dude, you got to be quiet. Everyone knows how loud you're being and you're talking. So I think the movie theater, you got to be quiet in the movie theater. Libraries, I already spoke about that. Quiet in the library. Bathrooms, shut your mouth in the bathroom. I hate talking in the bathroom. I'm not talking about at the house. Obviously, if I'm home, there's not a lot of people here. There's 2 people here. And I'm usually already walking away from that other person to use the bathroom. They're not going to follow me to have a conversation with me. And when I had roommates, the bathroom was right outside of everyone's bedroom. There are 3 bedrooms and then there was a bathroom. And I hated using the bathroom sometimes because if people were in their bedroom, I'm like, do they hear me right now? I'm urinating, and do they hear my pee hitting the water in the toilet? And people go on their phones when they're using the bathroom, and I would always have to wear AirPods. It's like I can't have them hearing when I'm watching. I'm not watching anything crazy, just on TikTok, or I'm watching a YouTube video I was watching. But you can't know that I'm even on my phone. As far as you know, I'm meditating on the toilet. So that's what all you need to know. That my big issue is public restrooms. That's the right word for them. No, it's not. Restrooms. Bathrooms? No bath in a public bathroom. You usually have to be pretty quick in a public one, so you're not really resting. Water closet. That's a thing, right? They're not really. They're a little too big to be called a closet. 'Cause there's usually multiple, units. This is called public bathrooms. When I go to a public bathroom, and I hear someone talking, they're talking to someone else, and they're both at a urinal. I go to the one with the urinals in it, and they're having a conversation, and their pants are a little down because they're using the bathroom. I can't stand that. It frustrates me. And I'm not going to say anything because then I would be breaking my own rule. And I'm also not going to be telling them, you can't tell someone else what to do in a public space. Like if they're like obviously doing something awful, yeah, go ahead. If you see someone walking around with a knife in a public space, you should probably be like, hey man, don't have that knife out. Something bad's going to happen with you if you're going to be walking around with a knife. But, peeing at the urinal, that's not really breaking any rules. So you can't be like, dude, stop talking. I would love to. They should put me in charge of bathroom rules in public spaces. Because when I go to the bathroom and people are talking, it frustrates me. What makes me even more mad, if I go into a bathroom and someone I know starts up a conversation with me. I'm all quiet and I'm like, like trying to hint, I don't want to have a conversation right now. I want to focus. Let me focus. And if me and someone are heading into the bathroom together and we're having a good conversation, I'm enjoying your company, that's fine. But as soon as that bathroom door opens and my tippy toes get past the doorway, shut up. Like, you don't know me anymore. For the next 30 seconds, you don't know who I am. You know nothing. And what's his name? YB from Coraline? That's you. Your mouth is sewn shut. Like, don't talk. Just don't even look at me. I've had that happen before. I've been using the bathroom, and in the corner of my eye, while I'm using the urinal, I would see an elderly man standing there staring at me, and it's not like he's waiting for me to be done so he can use it. There's a stall open and there's another urinal open, right? He's good to go. He can come in and do what he needed to do. Instead, he's standing to the left of me and staring at me. And I don't know what to do in that situation. Do I initiate conversation with this elderly man and say, hey, what are you looking at? Hey, is there an issue? Do you need something? Like, do you have a nurse I can call to come in and help you? Like, shouldn't they already be here with you? I don't know what to do in that situation, but please stop talking to me. I can't have you around right now. And honestly, you're making it take longer. I'm not starting until you stop staring at me. And sometimes that's just nature, It won't happen until I'm at peace and I can just focus. Other times, I feel like I'm, kind of protesting this old man staring at me. It's like, oh, you want to watch me pee so bad? Guess what? I'm not peeing. Just to make you, just to make you angry. I'm going to activate something in him. He's going to get all angry and he's going to storm out. And you know what else frustrates me? When people use public restrooms, especially at like a store, and even if they pee and then they don't wash their hands, you should wash your hands. If you're at home, I don't care what is covered in urine. I'm not going in your house, You can go in, you can go pee, you can pee all over your hands and then go touch everything. Go piss, get it all over your hands, go make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and that bread's going to soak in all the piss, and you fucking eat that sandwich. I don't care. But what you're not going to do is go to a public store, halfway through shopping, you're going to pee, get that all over your hands, or not even pee. It's not even pee I'm worried about. How are you going to touch the sink and the soap dispenser, and you're going to touch the bathroom door, and there's no thought in your head that maybe your hands are now disgusting and covered in germs. And then you're going to go out into the store and you're going to buy more stuff. You're going to grab it. You might look at something, turn it around, flip it around, read the back, put it back on the shelf. Now someone comes in and they actually want to buy this product that you were just wasting time staring at, and their hands get covered in bathroom. So what I do is I go in the bathroom. I wash my hands before anything else. I wash my hands. I use the bathroom. If I go, I go to the sink. I get soap on my hands. I wash my hands. I get soap on my hands again. I wash my hands twice. I then go to the paper towel dispenser. I don't grab it at the bottom because it's always wet at the bottom from someone else grabbing paper towels. And that wetness is from their washed hands. And if people aren't washing their hands correctly, because people aren't washing their hands correctly, if there's people leaving the bathroom without even washing their hands, most of the people actually washing their hands don't give a shit and aren't washing their hands properly. So what I do, let's say if there's 4 inches of paper towel hanging out and maybe the bottom inch is soaked and it's drenched and it's all torn, I grab between where the dispenser ends so I don't have to touch the dirty plastic of the dispenser, and above the wet, I rip that. I grab myself fresh paper towel. I wipe my hands. I throw that out. I grab new paper towel, right? I grab a new paper towel. I kind of make a little mitt on the palm of my hand. I open the bathroom door. I keep it open using my foot. I turn. I throw that paper towel in the garbage. I swing the door open with my foot and I walk out. So I touched nothing going in. The only thing I touched were my pants and the soap dispenser. So that is, I think, the best way of going about it. And I know paper towels, not great for the environment really, but I read forever ago that the air, the hot air coming out that to dry your hands, actually harbors a ton of bacteria. So it feels really good, and if you use it for way too long, it makes your hands really smooth and fuzzy, and it feels awesome. That might be nerve damage because you're you're cooking your hand or something. But so I don't use those. I use paper towels. But it's a good way to go about it when you're in a public bathroom. And I wash my hands at home too. I'm not the type of person to not wash my hands. But I think you can kind of get away with not washing your hands at your own house a little bit more than a public restroom. If you want to go to a public restroom, you need to wash your hands, especially if you're an employee and employees need to wash their hands. You're touching product for other customers, So I think there's tiers to how evil you are for doing certain things. I think, the best way of going about it is how I go about it. That might sound narcissistic, but I have years of experience of washing my hands in a public restroom, and I think that's the best way to go about it. And I used to not use the public restroom. I would wait all day. When I went to school, I would pee before I go to school. I would get on the bus, I would go to school, and the next time I peed would be when I got home from school. So I might, the last time I pee is maybe 6:40, 6:45, something early like that, was up early, showered, stuff like that. And then the next time I peed would be 3:30, 3:40. And then at a certain point when I got, I'm not much older than that, but I did get a little bit older as time went on. I aged a little bit. And something just happened where every single time I needed to pee, I couldn't wait and I wanted to die. It's just, I would need to pee so bad that my thought process was, if I can't pee in the next 5 minutes, I want my brain to explode. So I had to start using public restrooms. I tried really hard, and it really sucks because, now it's like, I used to love waiting. It's such a waste of time to use the bathroom. Hate wasting time. Would much rather just wait it out. But I'm not capable of that anymore. I'm in a public place and I use the bathroom. I need everything else must stop. If I'm in a public place, if we're at a restaurant and you're talking to me, I will have to tell you, hey, you got to stop talking to me for a second. I have to use the bathroom. It gets that bad. That's what I started doing. I've matured. I use public restrooms. I just, developed a system that requires no contact with the disgusting bathroom. So if you're in a bathroom, don't talk to anyone. Don't talk on the phone. I've seen people in stalls have a phone call. Just text them at that point. Say, hey, I'm busy. Just text me. And if it's an emergency, guess what? You stop using the bathroom and you go handle that emergency. But don't use the bathroom and go on the phone in public. I might be a little more careful about that stuff than most people, but there needs to be a balance in the world. If people are going in there using the bathroom, not washing their hands, there needs to be people like me who, give into the excess of cleanliness and overthink it, or else the amount of bacteria is going to triple. Because if everyone was just disgusting and didn't wash their hands and just, was spitting everywhere, there'd be too much dirt and bacteria and grime all over. I'm a balance in this world for everyone else who doesn't wash their hands. I'm averaging out the system. I'm helping. And while I wish everyone else was clean, I can respect the range of people in this world. I can appreciate the differences in us as people. Because guess what? If no one was out there being gross, not washing their hands, the last 15 minutes of me talking wouldn't be happening. So I guess while I don't appreciate it and I wish people were clean, you have to find positives in everything. Can't buy the Switch too. All right, well, I guess I have more YouTube videos to watch about it, because if I owned it, I probably wouldn't be watching YouTube videos about it. More money for me to pay my bills. Positive? It can be. That can be a negative, but guess what? I turned it around. It's a positive. Bathrooms are disgusting. I don't know, balance. I don't know how to make, I guess what I said earlier wasn't really a positive. It was just an acknowledgement. I still feel a lot of hate towards some people. Let me try making up a positive right now. I'm not making up. Let me find a positive. Let me discover something positive about this. Bathrooms are disgusting. It makes me feel better about my own cleanliness. There. Positive. I feel more satisfied with the person I am. I'm happier with who I am because I know I'm capable of properly watching over myself. Libraries and the return date and having to return them if someone else has it on their wait list, positive. If I was the person on the wait list, I sure would like that book, you know? So that's what you got. If you're like, oh, if you notice a system where you're being like, nothing serious, but you're being knocked down a peg to benefit the next person in line, kind of, it sucks, but it's like, well, if I was the next person in line, I'd probably want that treatment too, right? So it sucks being on like the other side of it, but it also rocks to be on the other side of it. So there has to be ups and downs and positives, negatives, and it's okay to acknowledge the negatives and, you know, don't ignore them and try to work around them and try to fix them and, you know, make new goals based off of them. But you also got to be positive and look towards the positive, and sometimes you have to fabricate positive things that might not really exist, because sometimes you just got to make something positive. You can't really change it. I can't go and make people start washing their hands, although I do sometimes when they're not washing their hands. I do kind of just, as they're walking out of the bathroom, I kind of just go, ew, that's disgusting. I just kind of scream it and make a dirty face towards them, because I'm hoping that kind of sticks with them, and they're kind of like, oh, that guy was judging me for not washing my hands and he thought it was disgusting. Next time I go to the bathroom, I'm going to wash my hands. And I hope in like 5 years they still think about it and they still wash their hands. I probably haven't gone to anyone, because if you're out in public and you're not washing your hands in the bathroom, you probably don't really care what people think about you and how dirty you are. So one little man saying, oh, that's disgusting, isn't going to change that. But I'm aware I can't really change much about that situation. You got to stick with the stuff you can change. But me making that small little comment, it makes me feel a little bit better. And that might be a negative thing. It makes me feel better. It makes me feel more positive. And I think it's okay to call someone out on something they're doing if something they're doing can cause harm in the world. Because having dirty hands, not washing your hands, and spreading those germs all over in areas where they wouldn't otherwise exist is wrong. And I'm trying to right that wrong, as even though I know it's unrealistic, I'm trying to do better for the people in the world out there. I'm a positive force. So yeah, and I hope whoever gets my book next enjoys it. And I hope you enjoy the clean bathroom space that I'm working towards. And also, I hope you enjoy your Nintendo Switch too, because I can't, because I don't have it and I won't be buying it. So enjoy the Switch too, and wash your hands and read books.